I'm Linda. Glad to have you back. Today I just finished up one I'm calling Misty Morning. It's kind of different. It's got a little foggy effect going on with a little tree in the background. I've got pasture kind of with a fence kind of disappearing into the distance. I think you're going to have fun painting this one. So get your paints out, follow me, pause and paint. Let's get started. So here are the acrylic and oil paints I used. Acrylic white, blue, brown, and orange. Oils liquid white, white, black, Van Dyke brown, burnt sienna, sap green, orange, cad yellow, alizarin crimson, and red. Okay, so now I want to show you what I've done. This is a clean dry with acrylic. I used acrylic Van Dyke brown with a little touch of orange in spots, but I took a liner brush and I carefully lined out this little tree, and it's just a little bit up the halfway mark and over about the same distance on each end, and I gave myself some space on top, about 4 inches, 3.5 down. So I made the little limbs and lots of little branches, real fine. And I let that dry totally. Letting that dry, and it is totally dry now. So what I'm going to do is add just a little bit of liquid white. Just a tiny little bit. And I go over the top. And I will take a shop rag and take off the excess. But I'm just going to go over the top a little bit. Right over the tree. All the way down, just past the base of that tree. Just a tiny bit. Yeah, we'll take a shop rag and wipe a lot of that off. This will create kind of a foggy effect that I'm trying to get. So I'm taking a shop rag. I'm going to go over it real light. See how the excess comes off? I don't need that much on there. And just a little bit over the tree. So I'll be adding some color over this. I want to get that soft, foggy, far away look. So now I'm taking a little bit of the phthalo blue, and I'm going to go around the top and a little bit below the halfway mark. Just taking little X strokes, just brushing it in. And taking a soft paper towel and just blending. Just blending the edges a little bit. So now that I've added the blue, I'm going to go back over with the liquid white. I'm going to go back over the top of that. It's totally dry now, so it's safe to put that liquid white back over that. And I'll take a shop rag again and buff a little bit of that excess off. Just going to cover the whole area. All the way down to the edge of that blue. So now I'm taking a shop rag and I am buffing a little bit, taking a little bit of that excess white off. Just a little bit. So now I'm going to be taking a little bit of the cad yellow with a touch of white, and I'm going to put a little bit of that sunshine in the sky, little X strokes, got a little 1-inch brush, and just blending that in. Taking the shop rag again and just kind of buffing out the edges where the blue and the yellow meet. So making sure I've got my yellow covered over the top of the tree and a little bit to the right. Taking my shop rag and exposing that tree a little bit more. I'm going to go into my orange, just a tiny little bit, and I'm going to go just below where the yellow ends, and just X stroke, just buff that in there, working across the sky to the right side a little bit. Just buffing that in, blending it in, adding a little darker, maybe toward the bottom there, and stretching it over to the other side a little bit. So now I've made a medium lavender out of the phthalo blue with a little bit of alizarin crimson, and it looks rather pink right now, but it'll fade out after I add some white fog in there. But I wanted a little extra color in there, so I'm just doing some X strokes, blending that in. Deciding where I want to put that. I'm just blending it in into the blue a little bit and using circular motions, really pushing that color into the canvas. And the more you push it in, it will get lighter. So I want kind of a hazy effect up there. Just blending it in. I'm adding a little touch of white. Just to kind of blend those colors better. Just blending it as much as I can, softening it up. I'm adding just a touch of phthalo blue and white. I wanted to bring out more of a blue corner there. And just kind of working my way to the center. Circular motions, just blending it together. A little more blue and white, maybe on the other side, just a little bit. Makes kind of a real pretty lavender color. just dotting a little bit more blue in there. I want it a little bit darker. Darker edge. That's where the grasses are going to meet, right there. So I want to make sure that blends in nicely. Okay, so now I'm going into a little bit of sap green and a touch of yellow. I'm going to start etching out where my little pathway is going to be. So I want it just off center a little bit from that tree. And I'm just going to tap in with a fan brush. Just a guideline there where I want the edge of my grasses. It's going to curve around a little bit. I'm using little upward strokes, pushing up a little bit. Now I'm doing the other side, angling that over just below the blue. That's just kind of the groundwork there. Gives me a guideline where I'm going to put my grasses. So I'm just putting it in a little bit now, pushing up with my fan brush, adding a little burnt sienna and brown, a little bit of brown, a little bit of yellow, just kind of a medium color brown. And I will get darker as I come forward to the bottom. Okay, now I'm etching out where the edge of my little road will be, and then continue to put in my groundwork for my grasses. Like I say, it'll be darker in the front, bottom. So I'm just laying the groundwork there for grass. I even put a little touch of black in there on the bottom because I want it really dark. And same with the other side. I'm etching out where my roadway is gonna be there. My tire marks, you might say. And filling in with some dark brown, a touch of black, a little touch of burnt sienna in there. Just give it some variation of color. It's pushing upward. I think I've got a number 2 fan brush there. That works out pretty good. Just tapping in darker areas on the edge. Well, now I'm doing the center part of that roadway. Kind of a little triangle effect down there. Just putting in some browns in there before I add my grasses. I've added a little bit of burnt sienna with a touch of yellow, touch of brown, a lighter, very light color way in the back there on that roadway. So I want it lighter as you go back. And I'm just working on the base work there in the front with very, very dark. And that'll give you some really nice shadows. Give it lots of depth when you add your grass. So now I'm putting in a kind of a caramel, it's a beige, beigey brown, a little bit of burnt sienna in there. I'm just taking my fan brush and just putting in a little color in there. I'm going to go down on both sides where the tires go, blending it in. Back and forth motions, staggering, putting a little of that light into the dark. Now I'm going into my sap green with a little touch of yellow, and I'm going to start putting my grasses in there. Just lifting up, and leave some of those dark areas here and there. Just pushing up lightly. Doesn't take a lot of pressure. And you can bring some of that grass into the roadway just a little bit, stagger it, so it looks fairly natural. And just work your way forward. Leaving some of those dark areas. And I'm working on the other side. I even dipped my brush in just a little more yellow than green, so there's different color variations. Just working my way forward, and as you do, it will be darker. I'll be adding a couple of fences on either side. Adding a little green in the center part there, staggering on the outside of the path. Just lifting up. So now I've got a number 8 fan brush. I dipped it in a little bit of titanium white. I'm doing some circular motions, making some more fog in there, just softening some of that color, putting in more foggy layers. Just circular motions, flipping the brush, using the dry end to buff it out a little bit, soften it up. And you can put as much fog as you want in there. So I wanted it to look, kind of far away, fog rolling in or rolling out. Yep, you can put in as much as you want. Okay, now I'm getting ready, or started to do my fence, and I've got some Van Dyke brown with a touch of white, little bit of yellow, but in the back there I want it real pale. I want a real pale little fence line that almost looks like it disappears into the fog. And the fence post will be darker toward the front. So I'm working on getting that fence line just the way I want it. Spaced just so. So I've worked my way up to the front. I've got darker ones, bigger, a gate-like fence in the front there, making a little thicker posts, darker, Van Dyke brown with a touch of black. And of course I go lighter color as I go back toward the fog. And just fill those in. And you can put a little highlights on those fence posts. I just did a touch of real light brown and just work my way back. The sun is hitting on the inside of those posts, so I did make it a little bit lighter. Those a little lighter on the inside of the posts. And it is time consuming, so I did speed this tape up a little bit so you wouldn't get too bored. So I'm putting some little boards across the gate there. They don't have to be real thick. I'm using a liner brush that works real well for that. And then I'll go along and I'll make little lines connecting the fences. And you'll have to watch your angles of those little boards connecting, because you want them to flow nicely. I think I just put 2 or 3 in there. Almost could be barbed wire too, real thin. And just go all the way to the back, very, very light. I almost see a finished painting here. I had a lot of fun with this one. I hope you do too. So if you do try this, send me a picture of it. I'd love to see it. So until next time, Happy painting, and God bless.